Good.
I have 4:35, and this time we will call the meeting of the Canyon City Commission to order. And with that, Mr. Potter. Invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be able to be here and represent Canyon. Lord, just help us make decisions that glorify you and that benefit our community and our constituents. And Lord, we say a special prayer for Israel tonight. And we just ask that you give them the protection that they need and deserve. And we love you, and in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Let's stand with me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, takes us to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 3rd, 2024.
No changes. I move to approve as presented.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. All right. Next, we have public comments. Comments from interested citizens, and looks like we have two. They are addressed to specific agenda items, and with that, may just wait on those, and when we get to items number 8 and 10 here. And if there's none others, which I don't believe there are, we'll close the public comments, and we have a presentation. So I have a proclamation of the City of Canyon. Whereas Rotary is a global network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who unite and take action to create lasting change in communities across the globe. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, use ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas Rotary in 1985 launched Polio Plus, and in 1988 helped establish the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and Gates Foundation to immunize the children of the world against polio. And whereas polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world is on the threshold of eradicating the disease, and whereas to date, Rotary has contributed more than $2 billion and countless volunteer hours to protect more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. And whereas Rotary is working to raise an additional $50 million per year, which is leveraged for maximum impact by an additional $100 million annually from the Gates Foundation. And whereas these efforts are providing much needed operational support, medical staff, laboratory equipment, and educational materials for health workers and parents. And whereas in addition, Rotary has played a major role in decisions by donor governments to contribute more than $8 billion to the effort. And whereas there are more than 1,300 Rotary members and 48 clubs throughout this Rotary district that sponsor service projects to address such critical issues as poverty, disease, hunger, illiteracy, and the environment in their local communities and abroad. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and Commissioners of the City of Canyon, Texas, do hereby proclaim October 24, 2024 as World Polio Day. And we encourage all citizens to join us and the Rotary International in the fight for a polio-free world. Given this under our hand and seal of office this first day of October 2024. Yeah, that's great. Y'all would like to come up? We'll take a picture right quick.
We need
Can
to
you get us
sit down.
all? Yeah, if you can just let in just a little bit more. Suck it in, suck it in.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll see you
Thank you.
guys.
Appreciate y'all
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Robin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that takes us to item number 7. Consider and take appropriate action on second and final reading of resolution number 20-24, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Kenyon approving a project funding agreement between the Bald and the Bold LLC, DBA Big Tex Burritos, and the Kenyon Economic Development Corporation related to direct financial assistance for new business in Kenyon. Stephanie?
Super excited about this one. This has been something that we've been working on about 1.5 years ago when I met with our EDC board and the commissioners. We asked what the 5 golden eggs was, and one of them was the purchasing of the El Patio, so we could make sure that we put a vital thing to be placed there at the gateway of Kenyon. So using the name, the Bald and the Bold, it's going to be a fun opportunity for us to work with a local restaurant and chain that they're going to be able to bring something new to theirs. So they're purchasing the property for $250,000, and they're using the $50,000 that the EDC has given them to make sure that the landscaping is what they want and what we need to be seeing on the 15th Street. So I ask for approval on this property and this resolution.
Move we approve resolution number 20-2024 as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, or are there any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
All right, item number 8, conduct public hearing and consider and take appropriate action on ordinance number 2015, Crow Addition lots rezoning, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Kenyon, Texas, rezoning the properties at 500, 502, 504, 506, and 508 Paldera Drive, and the properties at 500, 501, 503, 505, 507, and 509 Dimple Drive, providing that the zoning classification be posted upon the zoning district maps of the City of Kenyon, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are expressly repealed, and providing for an effective date. Lucas?
Thank you. So, as Mayor just read, we've got a ordinance for consideration here. Just to give some background, this is an application submitted by Kelby Hartman on behalf of their business who's purchased these properties, and they hope to rezone them from that single-family SF6 to the 2-family duplex attached residential district. We did send notices to 15 property owners within 200 feet of the lots in question. 1 in opposition, 2 in support, and 2 that did not really give a clear answer of whether they supported or opposed were received. Those are all attached in the packet. We did take this to Planning and Zoning Commission last month. No, it was earlier. Yes, today's October 1st, so last month, and they voted to approve the requested rezoning designation with a vote of 4-2. You can see on the screen an image depicting the lots in question. We do have to open a public hearing to consider this agenda item.
All right. With that, we do have, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Or is there any other discussion, any questions at this point?
Did you give a vote count on PLC?
4-2.
2 that were against it. What were their reasons?
most likely the show of public concern from neighbors that came to the P and Z meeting that said that they did not want to see anything more than single family.
Well, let's go ahead and open the public hearing. And with that, you have Andrea Reiner. You signed in here, so would you like to get in and speak?
Sure.
Absolutely. If you'd state your name and your address, please.
My name is Andrea Reiner. My address is 25801 South Sauncey. Like I mentioned, I'm Andrea Reiner, and along with my husband, Heath, and the Hartman family, we purchased the land to provide a solution to a need that Canyon currently has. There was a recent study conducted that the median home sold price in Canyon was $348,000 in 2024, and the median household income was $67,000. With this annual salary and home price, this leaves a shortfall of over $300 a month. So there is a need for rentals in Canyon. Residents in Canyon simply cannot afford the median home price for the median household income. Canyon is growing. As we all know, our population is expected to grow 11.5% over 10 years, and that comes with development. As developers, our plan is to improve the neighborhood. Several of the loudest complaints we've heard from the neighbors are the increased traffic, street width, and simply they want to stick to single-family homes. The neighbors have expressed their frustration with the traffic issues that are already present in the neighborhood. With the development of the lots will also come improvement of the streets, including installing new curbs and gutters. The neighbors have expressed the lack of care of the roads on Dimple and Tierra Blanca. The City of Canyon has already expressed to us as developers that we must pave the roads on Dimple and Tierra Blanca, as well as install curb and gutters along these roads. This will improve the walkability of the neighborhood. There will be wheelchair ramps and other improvements that will allow the neighborhood to be more walkable. The apron or entrance from 4th to Dimple will also be concrete. The entrance right now only allows for one car to go at one time, and so this apron will have to be brought up to TxDOT requirements so that more than one car can enter and exit onto Dimple. So the last thing I would like to address is why not just stick with single-family homes, which is how the two at the P&Z meeting, they loudly expressed to us that just leave it alone. Well, we are local young developers that want to invest in our community. We build quality, well-thought-out two-family homes that have great curb appeal. We manage our properties ourselves, and between Hartman's and Reinert's, we have over 300 properties with less than 5% vacancy. We have an extensive application process, and we take pride in our community, or in our properties. These lots were purchased at a premium price with the hope that we would be able to build great two-family homes. Building a single-family home on premium lots is simply not economical as a developer. We would need to sell the land to a larger developer with more buying power. And with WT being so close, this land will be developed more than likely into multifamily, multi-level housing. So it can either happen now or in a few more years as the campus in town grows. There are large investment firms from the Metroplex that are knocking at the door to develop within 1 mile of the campus. And this land has been purchased by us, your fellow Canyon residents, and we are giving the neighbors our word that we were wanting to make these single story, two-family duplexes managed and owned by us. So don't let outside investors come and build high-rise apartment complexes in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe anybody else signed in.
Yes, I think that's everybody signed in, so yeah, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions or comments. Obviously, the development team is here as well if you have any questions for them.
So how How many people spoke at the meeting? Was it two? Two people?
No, there was two members of the P and Z that voted against, 4 in favor. I believe we had 5 or 6 that signed in at the P and Z. So originally, this application had come in as an application for multifamily. The original concept was to do attached townhomes. There was an overwhelming opposition at the first meeting against that multifamily rezoning request. Many of the people who were at that initial meeting, neighbors, said that they would support a 2-family request. We came back a month later with a new application. There were still some neighbors that did not support that request. Everyone at that meeting was told that this would be the date for the final public hearing here today.
Lucas, didn't the developer meet with the neighborhood in between? Isn't that your understanding of that?
Prior to the initial meeting, before they came with the first application, they did have a meeting on site, and I know a bunch of neighbors came. If y'all have anything to say about that, you're more than welcome to do so. But I know that at least 2 or 3 of the letters we received upon the second application kind of stated that they were grateful for that non-required meeting that the developers went ahead and took anyways.
Anecdotally, that was really a different crowd at that second meeting, was it not?
Somewhat, but not everybody was new.
I've done a lot of research on this area of town. It's been vacant for a while. Dan Reese and Chuck and I researched this 36 months ago.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how those streets got paved. It was clear that the Padro and La Duchess were all done with street assessments. That's what Chuck and Dan and I found out. So that's how those got built.
Yeah, I would say that, one of the things that we talked about before I even started here, when we were doing our drive-around tour for my interview, was the comprehensive plan goal of infill development. And that, this is one of the places that you pointed out to me as a problem area that's never been developed because of certain constraints. And
Like currently there's
this is about as close as we've been.
water in there right now.
Water and
Water and sewer are both on site already. In the alley.
Approve ordinance number 2015 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes. That takes us to item number 9, conduct public hearing and consider and take appropriate action on ordinance number 2016, 038th Street rezoning, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, rezoning the property at 038th Street, otherwise described as W.R. Crowe, Block 1, 1 and 2, in addition to the City of Canyon, Randall County, Texas, providing that the zoning classification be posted upon the zoning district maps of the City of Canyon, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are expressly repealed, and providing for an effective date.
All right, so we'll drive around the corner. There's a separate lot that is owned by Kelby Hartman, independent of his other partnership, I believe is correct, that he's had for quite some time. And while we're talking about the lots around the corner, I thought this would be the appropriate time to bring this lot forward. It's the exact same situation and request, a rezoning request from SFS to the 2F district. This one received 11 notices were sent to property owners for this request. 3 responses were received in support of the change, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this requested zoning designation. And then we'll just have to follow the same process with the public hearing if anybody signed up.
There were no comments on that at that meeting.
No.
Any other questions for Lucas on this one then?
This is for duplexes as well. the same concept?
Yes, the 2F zone.
It's right beside the A-frame.
The
If you know-
A-frame.
everybody
Say, is
knows
the
where the
A-frame gonna
A-frame is.
stay, or is it gonna go?
That's where
Yes,
it
the
is.
A-frame is a separate lot.
That'll help you find it in your mind.
Well, if there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I don't believe anybody's signed in on this item. So we'll close the public hearing. And
Move to approve ordinance number 2016 is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2016 as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor of the ordinance, approving the ordinance, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 10, conduct public hearing and consider and take appropriate action on specific use permit request to operate a vape smoke shop at 400 23rd Street. Move.
Right, so this is a request that is coming to this group for the second time. If you're, is your,
I'm moving. I may have stopped mirroring. Let me-
no worries. It's in all of your packets. It is a specific use permit application to operate a vape smoke shop at 423rd, as is written in the caption. This request was brought last year. It has gone back to P&Z for consideration again. It was denied by the city commission a year ago. Letters were sent to 18 property owners within 200 feet. One response was received in opposition and one in support of the request. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve the requested permit. I did print just our 2 sheets from adopted regulations and plans for all of your reference. One is just the specific use permit regulations from our zoning documents, just for a refresher. We don't get very many specific use permit requests, and so I wanted you all to have that refresher. Just talks generally about what the specific use permit is. It is really a change in the zoning regulations to allow a specific use that requires some specific consideration. Talks about the review and approval process and then the application conditions. And so there's 10 things there to consider when issuing a specific use permit. The only other document I brought in was our comprehensive plan. Talks about this intersection specifically, so it felt relevant to just bring that forward as a reminder to you all in that adopted plan. That statement is just that we want to focus key non-residential redevelopment efforts around prominent thoroughfares and intersections, including this intersection. And so some of those actions are stated there: work with EDC, consider purchasing properties, adopt specific design standards. And you all did consider earlier this year to ask staff to talk about a redevelopment plan for the specific intersection. So that's the context I have for you all. This does also require a public hearing.
How does staff feel like this fits into the redevelopment?
From my perspective, this fits inside the private land ownership part of that redevelopment plan, which is we can always dream and come up with ideas of what might happen there, but ultimately whoever owns that property is gonna do with that property what they feel like is best suited. And so, similar to our downtown master plan, you know, we imagine some amazing things for some of those Blake properties down at the corner. What happens on those properties will ultimately depend on who ends up with the ownership stake in them. And so I think that's where the goal here for that comp plan come in, to try and buy them if you can, because then you control all the pieces. If not, then as a city, we can really focus on the public side of that. We've got new sidewalks with some nice stamped concrete. What are some things we can do to accentuate that? Can we do new light poles that look really nice? Can we try and remove some billboards in that intersection? Things like that would be really where I would focus our efforts. What can we do in that really nice wide text-out right-of-way? And then what can we try to encourage outside of that on the private property side?
it got denied last year by this body, was it approved by the P and Z that year too?
Yes. Yes, both times it's received unanimous approval from the P&Z. And we do have the applicant here in person to answer.
Thank you last year, sorry about that.
Yeah, to answer any
Family
questions.
emergency.
So if you have any questions, or things you'd like to address that they can answer, please feel free.
You know what, let's go ahead at this point and open the public hearing. And we do have one person that signed in to speak. Abdullah, to speak. So, if you would, state your name and address, please.
Yeah. My name is Abdullah Al-Shayef. I live in 2287 88th Street in Lubbock, Texas. So me and my brother, we own a few different types of businesses, from convenience stores, smoke shops, different types of things that we do around West Texas. In this building right here, we've had it for a little bit. Last year, we were trying to get it open. I had a family emergency. I wasn't able to attend the meeting for your guys' questions or anything. To address some of the questions you were asking about the outside appearance, since last year, I've had a contractor on hold who is going to redesign the complete outside of it to make it look better, complete new paint on the canopy with new designs, new mantles, everything like that. As for the aspect of the actual smoke shop, we follow and comply by all of Texas regulations and federal regulations, and we take anything that comes into our smoke shop serious. We don't sell anything that might attract certain undesirable kinds of businesses or clientele. We are more of an upscale kind of smoke shop with like cigars and stuff like that as well. We take all legal, like anything legality very, very serious. For like example, we require all of our employees to undertake a 2-day training period when it comes to making sure you're not selling to minors, following legal precedents and stuff like that. And we also have like a zero tolerance policy if it comes to that. So if we have any employee that is fined or selling to minors, even if they're not caught by police, but caught by our individuals who are watching the cameras, they're automatically terminated and reported, and we follow all policies and protocols. I'm here to answer any of your guys' questions or any of your guys' concerns. The reason why we really wanted to open this Canyon location is we have a few locations in Amarillo and one in Hereford, and a lot of our clientele come already from Canyon, so we figured why not help our customers not have to drive 45 minutes.
Do you own the building or you lease it?
What was that?
Do you own the building or you lease it?
No, we're leasing the building. We have a 5-year with 5-year option on it.
Okay. You leased it last year?
We leased it about 1.5 years ago almost. The inside, I already had to replace a lot of my products because we had assumed we were going to get approved, and we had jumped the gun and redesigned the interior and bought a whole bunch of products that ended up going bad, and I had to throw them out because it's 1.5 years later.
Why not, I noticed in here that you were like specific about a couple of things that you're not selling. Why not sell Kratom?
Why not sell Kratom? With Kratom, I mean, it's completely legal to sell it, but it's not the kind of clientele. For example, some of the stuff that we don't sell, as well as not Kratom, is we don't sell like oil burners, right? There's a huge profit margin if you do. There's other companies like Headhunters, like those that sell those. That's not the kind of thing we want to bring into the community.
But why would you not sell Kratom?
We sell Kratoms in some of our other locations, but this one, it's an all organic, but what we do is we figure what that city or what that community wants, and then we bring it as long as it's not against our like moral compass. Kratom is a great alternative to a lot of people's opium addictions, and it's been shown clinically to help with a lot of the opium addictions as well.
But you're not gonna sell it there?
We're not gonna sell it in this location, no.
And why not sell it here, but you'll sell it somewhere else?
Because we feel that this community, a lot of our customers that come from Canyon to our other shops are coming for stuff that's not really Kratom related. I haven't done a personal study in the town and see if there is a need, but I don't feel like it's something that I would.
Is that a pretty new picture?
That's it right now, yeah. I didn't want to do anything outside right now until I got
It
approval.
literally has Kratom on the outside of the door.
Yeah, that was at the beginning. We're not selling it anymore. Because we figured that the first time that was probably something that the people don't want to. My business partner who wanted to sell it is no longer a business partner in it. I was focused on 2 other locations. When I got there and I saw it, I said, no, we're not doing it.
I'm all for support of bringing business to Canyon. Anyone will tell you that's something I'm very passionate about, is growing our community in a positive way. I think this is a key lot in our town, being on the four-way corner where almost everyone in town goes through.
Which is why we've invested so much money into it for the
I
beautification
understand
stuff.
I hate that you did that before you came the last time. This is just not a business that I feel that I can support for Canyon. That's me personally. I don't feel like that is what I want to see on that lot. I would love for something to go in there, I would, but knowing the struggles that we deal with our youth and vaping, it's not something I can support.
I think I just question location too. Yeah, that is, back, man, we've talked about it for a long time with strategic plan and what we do with that intersection, or what we try to do with that intersection, and it's probably a struggle there.
We're open to making the accommodations the city wants us to do, or to ensure that you guys have a peace of mind. Like I said, when it comes to your concern with the youth specifically, we ID everybody that walks into our shops. If my good mayor here walks in, we'll ID him too.
I understand that, but still, it's not something that I can support. I like the fact that you will ID, but that it's still not what I feel like aligns to what I want to see.
And as for the concern of vaping and stuff, there's a lot of the gas stations are already selling vapes in the Canyon locations. Quite a bit of vapes too.
I understand. I didn't vote for them to do that. Didn't ask for my vote on that.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Abdul.
Of course, thank you, sir.
I think no one else has signed in, so we will close the public hearing. Any other questions for Lucas?
So just to be clear, 'cause we get kind of hung up here sometimes. If we do nothing, does it automatically get approved? Or is it only by the denial that it's denied?
Mr. Attorney, thoughts?
So that, since P and Z recommended it, it's gonna have to be a supermajority to overrule P and Z.
Which would be how many votes? 4?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Staff does not have an opinion, obviously, on this.
Fix it to heck.
That's right, Paul. The only thing we can speak to is our planning efforts, which Lucas has already highlighted, about the focal point of this spot. Obviously, as mentioned, like Lucas said, in the comprehensive plan. Oddly enough, when Mr. Burns and I were going through the history of Canyon, this was the very first light in town in 1937. But the focal point from the comprehensive plan, it is mentioned there. It was also in the strategic plan, which this body did. And then obviously recently in the last 6 months, the commission authorized the staff to work on a redevelopment plan and I think a lot of that's been already started from Mr. Raley and Ms. Tucker, myself and Mr. Burns have already done some staff work on that. But that's a push and pull, like Lucas said, on the private, public side. We're also working with TxDOT, things of that nature. But it just obviously, and we also have an overlay district there in that on 23rd and 4th too. That's kind of the focal point piece of it all.
Of course, our zoning regulations that address that.
So this permit be reviewed every year?
Only if you put
That would be your recommendation.
You can do that.
It could be your recommendation. That's That's what that list of 10 things there is.
Currently, we don't have any SUPs for this type. Everything that's here now has been grandfathered. There is that kind of gray area that was mentioned about vapes at convenience stores. The primary use, though, is still the convenience store usage of gas, milk. Yes, they do sell that product. It is true, but that's not their primary use. So, because we've heard that. But there are no other existing SUPs for this type of use. Everything that is in existence today was grandfathered in when we did, was that recodification?
No, it was a specific process.
What year was that?
2016.
2016, thank you. So,
Was when P&Z and City Commission opted to require that specific use permit specifically for smoking vapes.
that's all we can speak on.
Well, I'll get going then. Get to the Abdul, they say your name?
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm glad you're a
You
good
too,
guy.
sir.
Well, I mean, I see Robin's point and I agree with it actually, but I'm a free enterprise guy. You're not breaking any laws and you want to do what some of these people want you to do, so, I mean, I'm just about free enterprise, so I'll make a motion to approve this special permit with the addition of renewing it in 1 year.
So you're requesting a 1-year special use permit.
Yeah, so that we can see that he did what he said he was gonna do right here.
Mhm.
Do we have a second? Then the motion will die for lack of a second.
Briefly say something, I apologize. I'm here as his counsel before this is finalized. Before decision is,
Hang on,
sorry.
Mr. Mayor, that is your decision to allow.
Yeah, go ahead.
This has already been presented to all of you in a packet by his other attorney, David Sergi. I just wanted to redraw the attention. He is primarily a hemp shop. He does sell other things, but according to section 443.003 of the Texas Health and Safety Code, it states a municipality, county, or other political subdivision of the state may not enact, adopt, or enforce a rule, ordinance, order, or resolution, or other regulation that prohibits the processing of hemp, manufacturing, or sale of a consumable hemp product as authorized by the chapter. I just want to read, I'm sure you've all read it, I just wanted to redirect your attention to it before a final vote was made.
Interpret that for me.
The
If I was
application,
reading it, I would be able to interpret myself.
there is state law on sale of hemp products. She's correct about that. The application is not limited to sale of hemp products.
Right.
The SUP is not limited to sale of hemp products.
But this is not about the selling, this is about allowing them in, correct?
Well, I'm just addressing this.
Specifically a vape shop.
Would it be fair to say that if that was the only thing that they were gonna sell, we wouldn't have a choice?
You couldn't deny it on that basis, right?
But because they have a broader scope that they're selling in their store.
And there could be other considerations on the permit SUP. Such as land use planning and so forth.
Can I just say one more thing?
It's up to the mayor, not me.
Just
one
one
short
quick
word.
thing, is that we do have a 5-year, lease with a 5-year option that we don't plan to give up on this location. And it's gonna take us at least a year or two to figure out something else that we can do with that location and to work it out. I do wanna iterate it, we don't have a plan to to find a different use for it, but if we have to, eventually we will, but it will take us a few years. And I know you guys are trying to get us, because we've talked a lot with the planning about making sure that the place is beautified because it is such an important center. So if there's any accommodations or things you guys want us to do with the vape shop to make sure that we're following or complying, like that 1 year, if you guys have things you want to add or limit, we're more than open to work with you as a city. Because I'm here as, like you said, free enterprise, and I'm here to open a business. I've already invested so much money into it. I'd hate to have to invest for another 2 years till we figure out something else to do with it. So, I mean, if there's something you guys want us to do or something that you want us to put in or to limit at the sale of this location, we're all ears. We're here to work with you guys and to help. I'm just worried that once this dies, it's another 6 to 7 months before we can come back in front of you guys again. That's a whole nother year, another time that it's standing empty, and it's, at this point, we're just trying to get it open. And, I mean, we're here to work with you guys. Any kind of limitations you guys want us to put in, to put your guys' mind at ease. We're here for it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I would entertain another motion.
If no motion is made, Mr. Attorney.
Becomes effective on P and Z recommendation.
On P and Z recommendation, correct. That's where I was going, just to make that clear.
It's my opinion.
I make a motion that we deny the specific use request to operate a vape shop at 400 23rd Street.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion to deny passes 4-1.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to item number 11, conduct public hearing and consider and take appropriate action on resolution.
Why'd you sit down?
Me too?
Oh, yeah.
Get tired?
Resolution
Yes.
Absolutely.
Want some cardio?
Resolution of the City Commission
You
of
get a
Canyon,
treadmill.
Texas, supporting the application and acceptance of a HUD Pro Housing Grant application and authorizing the Director of Planning and Development to represent the city in all matters pertinent to the administration of the grant. Lucas?
All right, thank you. We're jumping all around tonight.
Staff, shut that door.
Our next consideration is to hold a public hearing. So what we did is put together a grant application last week. That's why I'm tired, Cody. And that application is now on our website. There was a public hearing notice in the newspaper on Sunday. They released this in the middle of September and then said, hey, you've got about 60 days to get this all done, to submit an application for this program. It started last year, was the first year HUD Pro Housing. It's a really unique program from HUD through CDBG that basically says, hey, we realize nationwide we don't have enough housing supply, and we have extreme affordable housing issues nationwide. Here is last year 85 million, this year 100 million, for you all to go out and compete. Tell us what you will do and how you will increase housing affordability in your municipality, council of governments, state,
Housing authorities.
housing authority, whoever wants to take a shot at this. Joe and I looked at it briefly last year. Again, I mentioned that really tight 60-day window. We didn't see it until 2 weeks before last year, so we couldn't apply. We think that this is a really cool opportunity because it's so open-ended and because there's no local match required. The minimum funding available is $1 million, maximum is $10 million. What we've put together, sorry, I'll back up with some more context. Last year, they funded 21 projects, the lowest being $1 million. Fort Worth got the largest grant with $5 million, and they funded them all across the nation. The state of Hawaii got several million. And they basically said, hey, if you're a priority geography, this is a good opportunity for you. Canyon has been identified through this program as a priority geography for not keeping up with affordable housing supply for our population growth. So they're saying that for how much our population growth has occurred, we're not providing the units to keep that affordability available to our community members. So that means that we're more likely to get funded. We get a lot of points for that. What we've done is put together this application that focuses on 4 key projects. The first one you're all familiar with. It's that housing rehab program. What we're asking for is additional funds that we can work into matching with our funds to really exponentially increase the impact of that program over the next 6 years. On top of that, we've also proposed an infill incentive program, which will incentivize the development of vacant lots or underutilized lots in our already zoned 2-family and multifamily areas, as long as those developers rent restrict those units for a period of 10 years. The last 2 things that we're looking at is a housing affordability study. We've done some internal studies, but we think we greatly benefit by having a consultant come in and look at Canyon and our surrounding market.
Andrea quoted some of those earlier.
Yes, exactly. Figure out where the gaps are and provide some more direct solutions that will really inform those other 2 programs, and then also a comprehensive plan update. As you all know, we've gotten through a lot of our comprehensive plan from 2018, and this is something that they really saw as a priority from the Notice of Funding Opportunity, and so we said we should really look into that too. How can we specifically address this issue of affordability that is much bigger than it was when we wrote that plan 6 years ago? So that's our request. We're asking for $3.825 million to be expended. There's a typo here, over a 6-year period, not a 10-year period, because that's the grant performance period. That application, like I said, is online. It's in our office for anybody to review and provide comments on. The public hearing tonight is an opportunity for anyone to provide comments. But obviously, we're in a rush timeline, so we're also going to have that comment period open through October 13th. So anybody who wants to come in, anybody who wants to submit a comment online, we've got a form on our website where they can do so. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Let me hit some highlights.
Absolutely.
I know Lucas participated in a webinar of some type.
Yep.
And they pretty much said that you need to be one of these select communities on that list. And there's 3 criterias to be on that list, and we meet one of the 3. So we get an advantage. Basically, they said if you're not on that list, it's a priority community if you don't apply. Is that correct?
Yes.
Additionally, one thing that gives us a competitive edge on this is the recent passage of zoning, subdivision regulation zoning. We really opened the land use pieces up of allowing accessory dwelling units, which is also in the infill piece.
That's right.
We're allowed a lot more land use than we had previously. And so that has helped expand things. Ultimately, this program comes down to how expensive the housing market is at this time and trying to bring that down and developing more on less acreage. As you know, Austin's in a battle on 6,000 square feet a lot. But additionally, what kind of cherry tops this is the recent passage of our Canyon Housing Rehabilitation Program and formation of our 501c3 with city and local partnerships that we can put into our application. We hope that those aspects, when we compare to the other applications, so we were able to see all the other applications that were funded and what they were doing, because they put their efforts in there. We are right there along with those with the Fort Worths in the Alaskas or wherever, the Hawaiis. There were several states. Los Angeles County was in there. Lucas and I have read hours of those applications and studied those. And we got a lot of great ideas, more than anything. Like Fort Worth is one we looked at a lot. They have a land use bank, and they do have lots going into foreclosure. They're acquiring those lots, and then they're rebuilding affordable housing on those lots to help with that gap differential on the median household income. A lot of it is the household, like we've talked about, is too high for those income levels. And so Fort Worth is huge on that issue. And they're trying to address that through, what was the other one they had? The housing?
They're doing a housing rehab program as well.
And they're doing a rehab program.
They're doing 300 houses a year, which sounds like a lot, but per capita, if we get to 6, we're doing the same amount per capita in Canyon, so.
There was a lot that I think that really puts us high up on this list to get this, and there's no match on top of it. If the commission is good with this application, we don't think we'll get the full amount. Everybody we saw did get a reduced amount, I believe. I don't think anybody got a
No,
full amount.
everybody that applied received 50 to 70% of what they applied for.
I can't remember, I think, did we put that in there, what we would reduce? I think we'd take out,
Yes.
we'd take out the housing.
We'd reduce the impact of the first two programs, take out the housing affordability study, and then really just focus internally on the comp plan.
A lot of credit to Lucas on a lot of short timelines to get this done.
I move we adopt resolution 23.
Any public Public hearing? We'll come back to that. We'll open the public hearing and I don't believe anyone signed in. We'll close the public hearing.
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. Those like sign. Motion passes. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the work and, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe's told me earlier. Yeah.
It's really competitive, but it's very exciting. So
One in every 13 got funded.
about 7.5% of applicants were funded last year, so they increased the amount of awards, but I'm sure that the number of applicants is also going to increase. So
No match.
no match. That's
Yes.
right, Joel.
But our labor into our finances for the finance director to do all the work. So we're putting in your salary as our match.
Yes.
All right, well, item number 12, speaking of finance director, consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 24-2024, a resolution of the City Commission of Canyon, Texas, declaring expectation to reimburse expenditures with proceeds of future debt. Joe?
Thank you. If you recall, we've been talking about debt issuance for, this will be certificates of obligation. Although the commission hasn't formally made an intent to issue yet, that'll come about December. We have several peripheral projects that were associated with the two major projects for which those certificates of obligation need to be issued. The two major projects are the 4th Street Pump Station that we reallocated ARPA funds for, and then the lift station to service the new Phantom Creek development. These other peripheral projects are ones that have come about just by circumstances. One being the redundant line under TxDOT, so where the construction is occurring now on I-27 north of town. We had budgeted for redoing the main city line there, but we feel like it would be appropriate to go ahead and do the redundant line at the same time while that's open and save some money there by doing it now. The other project is the Myra Park sewer oversizing. We had planned to fund that with debt proceeds. And then another circumstantial one is the lumberyard sewer extension. So these three projects, although they're minor compared to those other two major projects, they are moving more quickly than the timing for issuing that debt. And so we've discussed this with our bond counsel. They have assured us that if the commission approves this resolution, it will allow for us to go ahead and incur costs associated with those projects and then reimburse our cash reserves out of the debt proceeds when we issue. Right now, we're intending to do that in March. So if the commission does issue the intent to issue or acts on the intent to issue in December, that would set us up to be able to actually sell the certificates of obligation and have the debt proceeds in March. The total of these three projects is $850,000. And I do want to, I think it's more than appropriate that I speak to this at this time. just talk about where we're at cash position wise as of the end of the fiscal year. So today's October 1, so this is pretty preliminary. Yesterday was the end or close of our fiscal year. We started the fiscal year with a deficit. When I say deficit, I mean below the minimum of our cash reserve policy, where we set our goal to be. So we started the year at $485,000 below that minimum reserve. During the year, we've approved and spent a number of capital projects that weren't budgeted. And most of these, some we've actually spent the money outside, some of it we've gone ahead and moved over to our CIP fund so that it'll be available when the projects get started. In the general fund CIP, we've transferred money out of the general fund and funded the Kylie Hunter Memorial Playground, about $97,000. We had to go ahead and get some money set aside for the Brown Road Railroad crossing to be prepared for that. That's about $112,000. If you recall, we had applied for SCBA units for the fire department to get those replaced. That was a grant that we had applied for $280,000 plus. We did not get that grant, but the commission went ahead and approved that we go ahead and purchase those units. So we spent $280,000 there. And then, of course, we bought the building at 1401 4th Avenue, of which the commission approved using $305,000 of cash reserves. So that's a total of just under $800,000. In the utility fund, we have the Meyer Park Utility Infrastructure Extension, $202,000. We had to, this is another circumstantial thing, TxDOT is doing a project on Farnham Market 2590, and so we needed to relocate our water line there, so that's $124,000. And then the Lumberyard Water Extension, we funded for $94,000. Of the total of those three projects, we were able to reallocate about $250,000 from other projects, but still that resulted in a net use of cash that was unbudgeted of $170,580. You add to that, our sales tax came in below budget. You've heard us talk about that over and over, $351,000. And then we didn't have the excess cash available in the utility fund to fund our budgeted internal transfer of $735,000. So the total of all of that, we end our cash position, we end the fiscal year just a little over $2 million below our minimum cash reserve. So I just want you to be aware of that, because if we had to fund all of this $850,000 today, I'd have to go cash in some CDs early to get that done, and we would lose that interest. We ended the fiscal year with $1.5 million in the general fund and about $1 million in the utility fund. But a lot of that is tied up in CDs. So in the general fund, we have just about all of that's tied up in CDs. And then in the utility fund, about $1 million is tied up, about $500,000, $600,000 is tied up in CDs. So basically, we had enough cash in the checking account to fund a payroll. That's about where we ended the fiscal year with liquid available cash. So I just want to make that point here as we're talking about this, another use of cash reserves, even though this is temporary and we expect to reimburse ourselves with the debt proceeds. I just want you to have a clear picture of where we're at on our cash position here at the end of this fiscal year.
And we're going to be delayed on taxes.
We will be delayed on our property tax receipt again this year. We were last year as well. But because of one of the entities that Randall County Tax Office services, they're going to delay sending out tax notices by a month to make allowance for the results of the tax election for CISD, just so that they don't waste taxpayer money sending out two different notices because they don't know how that's going to turn out. So that cash position wise, we'll just be living off of whatever we get for the utility fund for October, November, until the property tax revenues start to come in. This resolution does make for the requirements that will allow us to actually reimburse ourselves. Even though the debt hasn't been issued, we can reimburse ourselves out of those debt proceeds, even though we're incurring the expenses prior to the actual issuance of the debt. And it is necessary for us to be able to do that you pass this resolution. Are there any questions?
Joel,
just-
your recommendation is that we need this resolution in order to.
Yes, I mean, these projects need to get done, and they're not dependent upon us. These are things going on, whatever TxDOT's doing, we gotta keep up with them. Whatever NB Homes is doing, we gotta keep up with them. Whatever Lumberyard's doing, we gotta keep up with them. So these are all things we've committed to do, so we don't have any choice at this point. So I gave you this doomsday cash position just to ask you to please be careful as we go forward.
Because you want us to feel the same way you do.
Absolutely, I want to share the stress.
You're looking at that, and I want everybody else to feel the exact same way about it.
Are you saying, hey,
That's what you
look
want.
what you've gotten us
We
into?
keep putting our head farther and farther out there, and it's gonna get taken off,
How much cash reserve is there now, dollar amount?
How much is in the capital fund that you have not mentioned?
What's that?
How much is in the capital fund that we
In the
have?
CIP funds?
Yeah.
So Joe's embarking on, could we reallocate some of the CIP funds? Even though we've moved that money over there, could we pull it back? First, Paul, to answer your question, we have, let's see, 2.5 million, 2.5 million, 1.5 general fund, a little over 1 million in the utility fund at the end of the fiscal year.
Just 2 million less than,
2 million less than we had, it's 2 million less than our reserve,
which is a quarter,
which is 20,
4 months.
it's 20, yes, it's basically 3 to 4 months of operations between the utility fund.
So it's really a month and a half.
Where we're at now, yes. And it would be uncomfortable.
I can tell by the way you're
Yeah.
moving.
Bottom line, we talked about it, build the reserve back, but
And then we
Gotta get
budgeted for
serious
some of
about
that. We
that.
budgeted for some rebuilding. But that's a whole fiscal year ahead of us to do that. So, back to Joe's point, currently at the end of the fiscal year, we have in the CIP general fund, we have 760,000. That's the cash balance, but again, that's for specific projects, many of which are already up and going, so we'll be spending that cash. In the utility fund, we have 5.5 million. But again, a big chunk of that is net proceeds for the golf course irrigation project, so we can't pull that back. And there's, I don't have the exact number, but another large part of that is unspent ARPA funds that's already dedicated for finishing the force main on the sewer out to the farm.
And the other thing is we could move up issuance of the
We
CIP,
we could do that, and
but I think you were at.
I'm not sure of the time-wise. I mean, we could go ahead and do it, say, 30 to 60 days earlier than what we're kind of planning, but there would be an interest cost with that. So interest rates more than likely will continue to fall between now and March. So we're hopeful we'll have a much lower interest rate on that debt issuance. But not only that side of it, but if we issue in 60 days, that's 60 days more, it's 2 months more that we'd be incurring interest cost for having that outstanding debt.
But I think it's, you and I both feeling is to wait till December if we can.
Prefer to wait and do our best. I don't know that we have a foot on the gas pedal on any of these three, but whatever we can do to at least slow down the expenditure so that we don't have to spend that $850,000 all at once. I think we can do it over a few months, but.
That's still possible. Construction's moving fairly slow,
True.
as you and I have noticed.
Move to adopt resolution number 24-2024 for declaration of expectation to reimburse appropriate expenditures associated with water and sewer infrastructure projects, including the redundant water line associated with the TxDOT I-27 construction project, Myra Park sewer oversizing, and the lumberyard sewer extension.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes.
Thanks
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for letting me share.
I feel your pain.
You know what? We appreciate you keeping an eye on those balls, so really do. All right, item number 13 is to consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 22-2024. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, in order to make nominations to the Board of Directors of Randall County Appraisal District. Joe?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We reached out to Mr. Dagley. Mr. Burns helped me on some of that, but they've had some board composition changes due to recent state law enactments. I think they have 2 officials that are elected. John, I think they've appointed both of those, correct?
Yes, no one actually ran for those positions.
No one ran. Those were, as a reminder, this board does not hear tax appeals or appraisal appeals. They have a board that does that. So the appraisal district very much serves in a very similar role like the city commission. You know, they oversee the appraiser, which is Jeffrey Dagley. Most of y'all know Jeffrey. And so they oversee that. They're, you know, just like a board of directors. There are currently, 2 positions open. I've come up on a blank on those. You know, we had nominated Robin Patterson, thank you. I think she's coming off, and we had Claudia on there. And I think Misty Clements was on their nomination. But we wanted to bring this to see if y'all had anybody to nominate. This time, I think they're asking for people. I don't know if y'all have anybody in mind.
And I know they met with the school board recently.
It's not a very glorious position.
Not sure if the school board submitted some names or not, we'll all.
They just submitted who was currently there. All that were currently there.
We don't get a lot of votes for this, just to remind y'all. We don't get a ton of votes. School districts get most of the votes because they have a taxing base. But
However, our folks get in there, but
Yeah,
names don't get submitted and.
most of the time, CISD and City of Kenyon are on the same page on those nominations. But we're drawing a blank on some names to put up as sacrificial lamb.
And they're starting some staggered terms, so things are gonna be odd. Previously, they had a two-year tenure. Now, they're supposed to stagger it out according to the new code. So some people are on and off for different amounts of time.
We had Joe Shane on there for a while. You know, he came off, a year or so ago, I think, maybe. He was the chair for a time.
We've nominated a lot of members over
We
time.
have.
For our percentage,
Yes.
we've done a lot share.
Yes. And that was Jeffrey's encouragement. If you have 4 or 5 people, put their names out there, because you never know what the other entities are gonna do. It is not the group that hears the appeals.
Yeah, try to remind everybody that.
It is simply the group that reviews his budget, reviews that, and makes decisions similar to you all managing them.
The organization. They have a separate body, and I think that, I can't remember if that body appoints that board or not. I don't remember. Do you remember, Robin, on that one? So, that's a completely separate board, so.
Any names or thoughts or?
I'm thinking about this lady out here that gave such a good talk.
Second.
We'll teach you to come to the commission.
And her smiling buddy right next to her.
Exactly.
Name too.
I've had all three in the room.
Yeah.
That's what you get for coming to a meeting.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
He has a, October the 16th, I think deadline.
So will we meet one more time before then, I guess?
Yeah, we will. We don't have to make,
Anybody has
That'll be
any
on the
thoughts?
15th, we'll meet on that 15th.
say it again, Chuck.
15th, I believe.
Yes, we will meet on the 15th, so we can make it.
We'll see if we come up with something.
We just wanted to get this out to y'all ASAP. You don't have to decide tonight. We encourage you to think about somebody you want to put in here. And bring it back.
All right, well, that takes us to item number 14, executive session pursuant to 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.074, personnel matters, evaluations for city manager, and 551.072 regarding real property. And with that, it's 5:46, and we will retire into executive session.